Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for that delay. We were having some technical difficulties, but anyhow, this makes us more excited to welcome you to the masterclass on well-being in the new normal. And I hope that you are as excited as us to be part of this event. I am Dr. Olivia Nieveres, the Public Health Administrator of WHO Country Office, and I'm very happy to be part of this wonderful initiative of UNDP to have this National Youth Dialogue. For today's session, I would like to ask you if you are really healthy. I ask this because health is not just the absence of a disease. Health means that you are physically healthy, you have physical well-being, you have social well-being, and you have very good mental well-being. So it's not just not being ill, but it's a holistic thinking about health. So maybe you are facing some challenges in terms of your educational goals. There are some uncertainties or some economic challenges during this time. But I think we can help you hurdle these challenges in these unprecedented times. So this session today has actually been designed to address these issues. We have with us today a very good team of experts who will provide us some tips on how to become healthier and having a better well-being. So with that, I would like to leave you with a key message. The key message is Arugya Parama Laba Santuti Parama Danam. It means health is the highest gain and contentment is the highest wealth. So with that, good luck, enjoy the session, and I would like to hand over to you a very good resource speaker for this session. We have Mr. Chalana. He is a psychologist and a mental health practitioner. Help me welcome him to this session. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chalana, and I will be presenting managing screen time. So let's just acknowledge that it's a bit ironic that I'm telling you about managing screen time and you are looking at this through a screen. But anyway, unprecedented times, and now with the COVID-19 pandemic, we are spending a lot of time in front of our screens. So the first question that you might be thinking is, how can I manage screen time when I'm working online now, right? So as we all know, since the pandemic, we have all been doing everything in front of our screens. And we might be working from home, doing meetings, even conducting trainings, and even communicating and maintaining our personal and social relationships mainly through social media. So everything that we do has now come down to spending much more time in front of your screen. Now, in one way, it is important that we do maintain those relationships, maintain our, but at the same time, there is some negative side effects of increased usage of screen time, right? So I'm here to just kind of shed light on some of those side effects, and just to see if you can, and you can see if you can manage that screen time a bit better. So I'm just here to give you a few tips, and if you could just incorporate that into your daily routine, then that would be more beneficial for you, right? So why should you manage your screen time? So let me just start off by saying about vision and posture. right? So we all know that now we spend most of our time in front of the laptop and having Zoom meetings. And a Zoom meeting at minimum will take around 1.5 to 2 hours, right? And during that time, most of the time you'll be in front of it, seated, and that's just only one meeting once a day. So imagine you have 3 or 4 meetings right in front of the camera and seated. Your physical, you will be not moving around. And also, not only in front of the laptop, if you take your phone, for example, if you get on social media, you might be in weird positions, and then you might just go on YouTube or Netflix or Instagram for that matter, and then 45 minutes to 1 hour later, you're in the same position in a really weird angle. And that cannot help you with your posture. Including your vision. You might already be knowing this, but increased usage of just staring at the computer can give you dry eyes. Then it could it could give you a headache, and then that could lead to other complications with your vision as well, right? So these are things to just keep an eye out, so that you're aware, so you know what to do when you are working from home in front of a computer. Right, addiction, this is kind of obvious. I'm pretty sure you all know this, especially with social media. The moment you share, like, comment on more posts and things like that, you know that your brain gets activated, your reward center gets activated. And through that, you feel more motivated to post more content, share more content, because then there's more feedback. So now this can end up leading up to an addiction, because you're positively reinforced by what you're getting. So now this can move on to an addiction. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So next, difficulty in forming meaningful relationships and feeling empathy. An interesting research conducted in 2019 actually found that increased screen time usage has a negative effect on the communication between your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere. And that could affect you empathizing with certain people. And this could affect negatively when you want to form or continue and maintain human relationships with people, right? Then lack of sleep. Again, the computer screen and your phone screen emits a blue light, and that blue light actually kind of tells your brain that it's daylight. So your circadian rhythm kind of thinks that you're still spending time during the day, and then that's why you can't fall asleep, right? So if you have a habit of taking your phone right before you sleep, you might want to rethink that, because as we all know, if we take the phone in the night and we just go down the rabbit hole of YouTube, you end up just realizing the time has gone, and you wouldn't even know that it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you have to wake up again to go back to work, right? So just keep that in mind as well. And weight gain, again, with us working from home, we are less stationary, and we are in one place most of the time, and that could again be a correlation for weight gain. So again, that's also something interesting to keep in mind. And the low attention span. So another interesting research conducted in 2018 actually found that the human's attention span has now reduced to 7 seconds, which is actually less than the goldfish's attention span, which is around 15 seconds, right? So, and this is mainly due to a bombardment of a lot of data, information from social media, news, and especially for us in Sri Lanka, since 2019, especially with the Easter attack, a lot of information and data has been coming up. And now with COVID, again, it has continued from then. So that's also something to think about, right? So these are some of the factors as to why you should be aware of the effects of managing screen time, right? So now you might be thinking, how can I have a healthy relationship with my screen, right? So I'm just going to give you a few tools that you can use to manage this time, right? Starting off with tracking your screen time. So these are a few apps that you can use and download through iOS or Android that can monitor your screen time, right? So before I go into the apps, now I have an iOS device. So through the iOS device, weekly on Sunday or Monday, you get a notification saying your screen usage has increased or decreased by a certain percentage. And then that kind of gives you a guideline as to how much you've been using your phone. I'm pretty sure Android has the same device, same option. But just by having that notification, you know as to which apps you've spent most of the time on, and then that kind of just just gives you an idea as to how much you're spending per day on your phone, right? Now, if you don't have those notifications, again, 3 good apps, the 3 top rated apps are ZenScreen, Moments, and Freedom that you can see on your screen right now. So these 3 apps are actually really good to monitor your screen time, which will help you in understanding how much you actually spend in front of the screen. Because sometimes you think you're just checking a notification and putting the phone away, but when it actually adds up, it might be much more, right? Next is turn off notifications. Now, we love to see a WhatsApp message or an Instagram notification just pop up when our phones are on silent. But what happens is it kind of just takes away the focus from the task that you're doing. And that is really distracting and not good. So ideally, if you're focusing on a particular task, it's best that you turn off your notifications or just put your phone on silent and just keep it away when you're focusing on a particular task. That will make it more efficient as well. Then do a few screen-free activities. Now, the activities can be anything that you like, but you can consciously, actively do something without having your phone with you, right? Now, for example, if you think about just going out to the shop to get some groceries, actively you can just leave your phone at home and then just go and get it. And that will allow you to just kind of focus on the task at hand as opposed to just kind of going back to checking your screen. And that's just one example. And you can figure out whatever the activity that you like to do and just thinking about it, thinking about the activity without checking the phone, right? And then actually, this is an interesting website and which has a lot of interesting resources, www.screenfree.org, which basically encourages people to spend an entire day without their phone. So what these guys say is that the entire Saturday, you keep your phone aside and then do all your activities without it. And if you just go to the website, they have many resources as well. So this is just an additional something that I wanted to share with you all. And then something, again, another activity that you can do very easily without your screen is eating, right? We know we are all used to eating with our screens in front of us. It's easy to just switch a movie or a TV show on Netflix or just go to YouTube and enjoy your meal. But what you can also do is just keep your phone away and then just have a meal mindfully. Now, we don't have time to get into mindfulness, but an easy way to practice mindfulness is just paying attention to how you're eating, what you're eating at a particular meal, right? So it's not a long time. It's just mindfully being able to enjoy the food that you're eating in front, right? So another easy activity that you can do, especially to manage your screen time, is to quickly just do a relaxation activity. And now I think most of you all might be joining from home, might be a cafe, might be a friend's place. So a quick relaxation activity that I will kind of demonstrate is, it's a Japanese technique. It's a form of shiatsu. So the Japanese believe that the 5 fingers, the nerve endings are connected to certain emotions, right? So the thumb is connected to anxiety, the index finger is connected to fear, the middle finger is connected to anger, the ring finger is connected to sadness, and the pinky is connected to your self-esteem. So what you can do is you just take your other hand and then you squeeze your thumb really hard and hold it for 1 to 2 minutes, right? Ideally, when you do that, you need to feel the pulse of your thumb, right? So you do that for 1 to 2 minutes, and that will reduce your anxiety. And then you continue to do that to all your fingers one by one. Just make sure you grasp it really hard, and then just hold it for 1 to 2 minutes, and then you can let go. And another additional trick is just to just stabilize your mind. What you can do is take your thumb and then just press the center of your palm and hold it for 1 to 2 minutes. That will kind of reduce your, hope you can see it, right? So thumb on your palm, and then that will reduce your, which will increase your mental health and well-being. So I hope I have shared some details with you. And so next I will hand over to Thivya, who will take over next.
Hi everyone, I'm Divya and I'll be talking to you about social interactions today. Before our session, I would like to ask you to keep a track on your chat because we'll be having a poll, a few questions, and also you can use the chat box to ask questions regarding the sessions that we have during this period. Okay, so let's take a moment and think of a time when you were surrounded by the people that you loved and by the people who really cared about you. And now, think of a time when you were in a place which was new. It could be a classroom, it could be a playground, it could be a space, or even a Zoom meeting where you knew nobody, or just knew one or two person. How was it to think of these two imagined events? The difference that these two imagined events make us feel will tell us that we as humans crave for social connections. We need social support. We want to be connected to the people who love us, who care about us, or even people around us. And social support plays such an important role, especially during stressful times. Now, when we take stress, it's a part of our life. Stress is normal and it's inevitable. However, studies have shown that having social support, having social connections prevents us from experiencing the severity of stress, especially during difficult times like the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of us may have experienced extreme stress reactions like anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress symptoms than the others. But what studies show is that maintaining social support, having connections, help us to deal with these stresses in a better way and also have a better life. When we take our generation especially, I think we're gifted with so many social platforms that we are connected more than ever, more than our previous generations through all of these social media platforms. We are constantly on screen, like Chalana said a while ago. But that also allows us to be in touch with the people that we love and the people that care about us. And this, as a result, has helped most of us to deal with this stressful situation with lockdown, with isolation, with restriction movement, and with physical distancing initially, especially even in Sri Lanka. I think the first half of the pandemic outbreak in Sri Lanka, we had to distance ourselves, even though that we don't follow it as much now. So I'm going to ask a few questions on a poll just to get to know you. Check your chat again for the link. Think of a person who you reach out to when you need to talk to somebody. Do you have a person? Are there people in your life who you reach out to when you need to talk to someone? You can answer by clicking yes or no. Yes, okay, interesting. We're getting more responses. We'll wait for a few more of you to respond. Okay, moving on. Now, are there people in your life you call when something great happens to you? It doesn't always have to be something that's stressful that's happening that you want to talk to somebody. That's a yes too. So this just shows us how we as humans always have a social support system. It doesn't have to be a big group of people. It can be a small group. It can be a big group. It can be multiple groups. For example, we may reach out to our parents for love and care, but our friends would be the best people who'd give us relationship advice. Or it could be our work colleagues who'd be giving us support and advice to get through work stress. So we really crave for that social connection, and especially during this stressful time, I'm pretty convinced that all of us have had that social support system. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to strengthen or appreciate whoever who's been in our lives throughout these difficult times, who've supported us. Or we can take a moment and let's reach out to someone who you may think, oh, this person might need my word of support, or this person might appreciate if I call them or reach out to them now. So what we're going to do now is grab your phones, find a contact who you think you want to appreciate for being supportive to you, or find a contact who you think would appreciate your support. You can drop a message. You can make a call. We'll spend a couple of minutes here because I really want all of us to do it now. What you can also think of is it doesn't always have to be a close circle. It doesn't have to be parents. It doesn't have to be friends. It can even be someone who's outside your immediate contact. So it can be grandparents. It can be somebody from work who you haven't really met because you've been working from home for the longest time. So just think of somebody and give this moment, appreciate this person, or just be this motivation that the person might need today. Let's do that now. We're going to spend a couple of minutes here. It doesn't have to be a long message. Okay. I hope you reached out to this person who you want to appreciate or who you thought would appreciate you. I'm going to ask one more last question. How is it to do this activity? Just check your poll chat again. How is it to call or message the person? How did it make you feel? It felt good? Nothing really changed? Okay, so this is the thing about social support. It's not necessarily always about receiving. It's also good to give support, which is why it felt good for most of you guys when you did this activity. And sometimes we just need it more than giving. So maybe when nothing really changes, we really crave that support. So reach out and say, hey, I want to talk to you. Or hey, can we just do something fun online? Keep your social bubble active. It doesn't have to mean that you always have to meet because we've been restricted. Also, just think of people who might be left out, and reaching out to them will also make us feel good. I hope this session helped you. We're just going to move to a video post this session. It's Sit Willy. It's about improving or keeping up with our mental health, this social media app that is created by some of our UNDP volunteers. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, my name is Rusiru and I'm the team leader of Project City. Members including Hiruksha, Ashmare, Tapsara, and Rui.
We joined the Hackaday competition 2018 from the thematic challenge that was presented by the WHO on how to promote the mental well-being among the youth. Me and my team, we got together and we brainstormed a lot of ideas and we came up with Sitivili. It's a mobile app that promotes mental health among the youth. We were given seed funding by the WHO and the UNDP, and we were given technical assistance from the ICTA as well.
So all five of us are like currently working together to develop our application. That's the main part of our project, which will open a platform for people who are suffering from mental health issues. It doesn't have to be a mental health issue actually. Like if you're having a bad day, at least you can talk with one of our trained volunteers to be more open up to the professional help that's available in Sri Lanka. So we have a middle person. We are using volunteers as our middle people.
The volunteers in our app, they are going to be the emotional support companions to our users. So all of our volunteers have a background in either psychology or counseling. And right now we have 20 volunteers for the Android version, and we'll be getting, we have more volunteers waiting for the release of our iOS. And we also have partnered up with the Rotaract Club of the University of California to further develop our project.
We are making our users comfortable to open up to professional help by using our volunteers. We are providing awareness features, details of mental health professionals and mental health institutes.
Through our project, we hope to have a positive impact in the society and in the world, where people won't have to worry about the stigma and they can access and approach anyone regarding their mental health issues. We can help the Sri Lankan youth and the Sri Lankan society in the future.
Hello, I'm Manoja. We are now moving to another section on mindful eating. Okay, so first of all, we all enjoy food, most of us at least, and food is actually a need for humans. We need the nutrients that we gain by food. So it's like when we talk about eating, when we talk about managing our food habits, we should not think it as a burden or a challenge, or it should not be a worry to us. So this session is all about being mindful when you are eating, rather than like restricting your food habits or anything else. It's about thinking about what you eat for your own goodness. So what should we mind? So this session is actually via polls. So as per the previous session, please go to your chat box and there's a link for you to respond to the questions I ask, so that we can all see your responses on screen as a poll result. Otherwise, when you type in the chat messages, others may not see your response. Okay, so the first question is, what is healthier, A or B? Okay, Okay. So, maybe the cherry, no, there's no cherry even. So I'm wondering why people chose B. As you see, the portion size actually matters of what we eat or drink. It's the same drink. The A had a smaller portion, and I mean, the strawberry may not count, but it's a fruit compared to the marshmallows on top of the other one. And it's obvious that B had a lot more calories. And if you actually count the calories, it may even equal up to a main meal, a plate of rice. So when we eat things, we always need to be mindful about the calories we take in, because our body is like actually a cash till. What you put, if you don't spend, it would be accumulated. And it will be accumulated basically around your waist and hips, and you'll notice when you're eating more calories. So we'll move on to the next question. What is healthier? You have 2 plates of rice. See if you can. Okay. Okay. What I wanted to highlight by using these 2 pictures is a way to assess quality, the nutrient value of your food you eat, you consume, is actually by the diversity. If you start simply by diversity of the color, texture, taste, all of these actually represent different qualities of our food. Obviously, plate A was more colorful. It had more types and more food items, which would give you more variety of nutrients. And when we consider about micronutrients, the essential elements in our diets, it is important to go for the whole range, which would be ensured by going for a diverse range of food. And when we talk about fruit and vegetable, all of you may know that the rule 5 fruits or vegetables per day. If you consider, if you only like bananas and mangoes and strawberries, and you only eat bananas, mangoes, and strawberries every day, even though you have that 5 numbers, you are up to that mark, you are not having the full range of micronutrients. So please do mind the diversity of your diet. So we'll move on to the next question. What is healthier?
அதுலயே தான் வரும் போல அதே லிங்க்ல தான் அதே லிங்க்ல தான் இருக்கு மியூட்டட் கேக்குதா
So you see, we all know about sugar. We are all concerned about sugar, and we all know when we have sugar in our food. The thing is, even when we don't add sugar, there is sugar, naturally occurring sugar, like in fruit salads. It's loaded with naturally occurring sugar. Even though we don't have to add, it's already loaded with sugar. It's healthier than a cup of ice cream, but it also has sugar. And the image B actually had ice cream or cream on top of it, which is not only sugar, but also salt and fat. Most of the time, we consume a lot of hidden salt. We don't realize that we have salt in cookies, biscuits, cakes, butter. We eat lots of salt without knowing that we are consuming salt. Same about fat. We eat ice cream, we drink full cream milk with coffee, tea. We are loading ourselves with fat. So we do need to mind sugar, salt, and fat in our diets if we to remain healthy and fit throughout our lifespan. We'll move on to the next question. This is the one before the last, if you're getting tired of this quiz. What is healthier? Okay, so most of us know that deep fried, crusted food, junk food is not good for us. Even though it's the same food, it's the same chicken, it can be grilled and made more healthier if we want to consume it rather than loading it with fat, trans fatty acids mainly. And you have to realize that more the food item is processed, more unhealthier it would be, basically because its nutrient values would be destroyed by ultra processing, and also because we add lots of stuff to it while the process of manufacturing. So if you want to play healthy, go for healthier foods, you have to always select low processed foods. For example, eating a raw banana is better than eating a fruit salad with added sugar and salt. You know, any amount of process may not be, it's actually not adding much to the original nutrient value of the food. So be mindful about the process of preparation and the processed food. Last question, what is healthier? These are two labels from coffee packets from a same company. One is the packet we put to vending machines you find in cafeterias, restaurants, the vending machines. The other is the original coffee where you make coffee in restaurants and homes. Okay. Okay. Some of you think that eating anti-caking agents, palm oil, hydrogenated palm kernel oil is actually palm oil. Sodium caseinate, a milk protein, not milk, a milk protein. You see, when you read the labels of food, you'll realize the load of chemicals you load yourselves with your food. So being vigilant about what are the things they add to your food when they manufacture it large scale as an industry in a factory, you will realize some of them actually might be poisoning you. So some of the E numbers we have in Sri Lanka are actually prohibited in some of the other countries, and Europe actually do not allow any additives to be present in infant food. So we do need to understand the importance of going through the food labels and identifying what are the things that are put to our food and avoiding them if it's possible. And I think we should. So as a recap, what should we mind in our food? Portion size and calories, the diversity, sugar, salt, and fat, the process and the processed foods, and of course the additives. So thank you. That's all for mindful eating. We are now moving on to the next session after a video. Is it? Okay. No, we are straightly moving to the next session. Hello, it's me again. And this session is about being active. I would like to start by the slogan of World Health Organization, which I think it's a very nice campaign after a bit of a time. It says every move counts because it's so familiar. I mean, it's about your day-to-day life. Every move counts. So when we consider the general well-being of a human, we should realize that even though we only think mainly about physical well-being, it's also about social and mental well-being. And all these components are linked together. If we take a simple example, if we are not well physically, it would affect us mentally, and it would also affect our social well-being like our relationships with family members, friends, outsiders, work colleagues. So the consequences are linked as well as the determinants are linked. For example, our work setting colleagues who are not very health conscious may press you to go out to a junk food store for lunch. So it's a social network determinant that would affect your physical well-being and may have a consequence on your mental well-being, because even though you are there, you don't like that food much. Then out of habit, you start liking it. Again, same about drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, using cannabis. It can be considered as part of your social well-being, which would affect both your physical and mental health. In other way around, when we talk about physical activity, even though you think that it's only physical, it actually have a huge impact on your mental well-being as well. And you can convert it into a social well-being promotion exercise. So first principle of being active is any amount of physical activity is better than none, and more is better. So the recommendation of World Health Organization is at least 150 to 300 minutes per week per adults, an average of 60 minutes per day per children or adolescents. This is the minimum amount, minimum recommended of moderate aerobic activities. We'll just consider what they are. So the principle still stands. Any amount of physical activity is better than none. And when we talk about moderate intensity activities, we are talking about activities that would make our heart beat faster, that would increase our breathing rate, that would make us, go a bit breathless, and that would make us sweat. Okay, so any activity. It can be brisk walking, dancing, gardening, swimming, doing household chores, just playing with your children, anything that would increase your heart rate, increase your respiratory rate comes onto this category. So being active and staying up to this recommendation is actually easy. You don't have to put much effort to it. And there is also a recommendation that you should do muscle strengthening activities, whatever is your age, to improve your coordination and your quality of life in performing your day-to-day activities at least 2 days per week. So, second principle, all physical activity counts. You move your head, you stretch your arms, you lift your arms, you move your feet. Every activity counts. During COVID times, we are mostly seated, and most of us, including yours truly, gained about 2 to 3 kilos during this lockdown period, simply because our activities got limited. Some of us didn't even got up and get dressed. Zoom sessions was easy because you only see the top part, and you don't even have to brush your teeth. Okay, so every activity counts, and all of these small activities, when we don't spend calories on them, they would get accumulated in our body and be deposited as fat. And stretching exercises, walking around the room during Zoom sessions, taking stairs instead of elevators in working places, any activity. Principle 3, avoid being sedentary. Always be mindful of this. Do not get into the habit of sitting still, standing still, lying down. So I want you to spend a few seconds to think about how many hours do you spend sitting per day. Sitting in front of your work computer, sitting in the bus, sitting in the car, sitting in the couch, looking at your phone. How many hours do you spend sitting? How many hours do you spend actually lying around? And if you are mindful of this, you would realize that how sedentary you are. So scientists say that present generations are active potatoes. I mean, we are generally sedentary, but we try to be active within that half hour, which is recommended by the health experts. So we are not supposed to be like that. So please do mind about being sedentary. So the questions you should ask yourself is, what do you do during daytime? How do you travel to work, to school? What do you do at home, generally? When you're at home, what you are generally doing? And what are your hobbies? Are they spending calories, or are they more focused on spending money and time? And so by reflecting on these questions, you may be able to realize whether you're actually active enough. And another way to find out whether you're active enough is whether you're actually living up to the standards recommended by the health experts to reduce your risk for non-communicable diseases. So your body mass index is a good measurement to assess whether you're fit and healthy. So for Asian populations, we have a lower limit than the other populations because we are generally small-made compared to them. And our ideal BMI is around 18.5 to 23 kilograms. So please do, if you know your weight and if you know your height, please try to do this calculation and assess whether you are in the ideal weight range. The other easy way of measuring this is to measure your waist circumference, because most of us excessive fat would be deposited via our waistline. So again, there's a range recommended for males and females. You can always find these reference ranges in the internet. And this would also be a good indicator to see whether you're actually fit. And be mindful that when you grow older, your basic metabolism rate reduces and you have more tendency to accumulate fat in your bodies. So even though you think that you now have ideal BMIs and ideal waist circumferences, if you are not eating correctly and if you are not being mindful about your activities, you have a risk of gaining weight in advancement of your years. So thank you. Every move counts. We can now play a video for you. If you are happy to be involved, you can switch on your cameras and be part of this video and engage in a 3-minute session of physical activity. Thank you.
Now, this is the most important thing. When we consider, I think it's time to revitalize. Let us all rise. And this includes you. Okay, guys, clap your hands and start marching. Stretch your legs and your arms. 2 and right, left, right. 1, 2. Both hands. Go ahead. Stretch your arms again. Up. Right. Left. Right. Left. Right. Stretch your arms. Both hands. Come on, girls. Up. Up. Jump a little. Roll your arms to your right and to your left. Roll your hands. Hips to your side. Start moving your feet. Stretch your hips. Go ahead, guys. Shake your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wave your hands. Okay, start breathing. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Thank you, guys. Now you're all energized. Let's go back to work.
Hi everyone, Chalana here and I'm back. So the video that you actually just saw was created by WHO, and if you ever do come or see any of their meetings, you might see them randomly dancing around, so don't be afraid. It's actually something that they do during the meetings. And also they have multiple videos like that online, so feel free to just go on YouTube, find a few videos which will help you in actually being a bit active during those long meetings in front of your camera on Zoom. Right, so moving on, we are going to go into creating a routine, right? Now, a routine, especially during a pandemic, is something important because mainly our lifestyle has changed from last year, March, because of COVID-19. So it's not the same life that we have been spending, we have been living. So because of that, you might have required to change your routine. And when creating a routine, there are certain things that you need to keep your mind on. So why do we need a routine? Now, as I said, especially with the onset of COVID-19, there were many cases that were reported that there was an increase in anxiety, depression, and stress because they were all working from home. And even in Sri Lanka, we had a 3-month lockdown. So we've all stuck at home, and all our work was also done at home in our own rooms and homes, right? So there, our daily routine was disrupted, and that disruption can have a negative impact on your mental health and well-being. So it's important that when you are working from home, that you kind of think about a certain routine that you can stick to that will help you to kind of regain some control. Because when you're at home, it's very easy to just lose control and just kind of go about the day, and then at the end of the day, you realize you've not achieved anything at all. And that's okay. So over time, that might not be best physically or mentally, as we've all learned right now. So I'm here just to kind of give you a few tips on why you need a routine. right? So how to create a routine that works for you, or for me rather, right? So it's important that what you create is not a strict schedule or a timetable that we used to go like even during college or during school time. So it's not something that you say that you work through from the time you wake up until the time you sleep, but it's just a general sense of activities, tasks, goals that you want to achieve during the day, right? And according to your personality type, you can create it however the way you want. But what you need to know is that this routine is for you, and you are the one who should create it however the way it will work for you, right? So a few tips on creating your own routine. The first thing is that you should make a list, right? Now, depending on how you want to do it, if you are a person who also acknowledging that if you want to kind of create a list on your computer or your phone, you can. But if you're a person who likes to write it down or have a notebook, it's always helpful to just write, to make a list of the activities and the tasks that you want to achieve every day. And if you don't have multiple tasks, and if you feel like you can just keep a mental note on everything, then kudos to you. But ideally, if you just write it down or note it down somewhere, that might be a bit better. Then structure your day. So after you kind of created a list, the best thing next is to kind of allocate when you're going to do that task. Now, again, if you're someone pedantic and if you really want to kind of say 7:30, I'm going to have breakfast, 8:30, I'm going to start my meeting, 9:30, I'm going to have a tea break, things like that, go for it. If that works for you, good on you. But if you're someone who cannot work like that, what would work for you would be that you just break the day into 3 sections: your morning, afternoon, and evening. And that way, with the list of activities that you have, you can just kind of allocate those tasks to the day according to the morning, afternoon, or evening. And that'll help you kind of just understand. It'll give you a sense of when you should have ideally finished a particular task, just for you as a guideline if you have achieved it or not, right? Then be specific. Now, if you just write a task as something like send an email, sometimes that does not really help. So if you specify it a bit more, saying send an email about the quotation to send to someone, right? If you be a bit more specific, that will help you kind of understand, and also it'll get your brain thinking into the activity or the task that you have to achieve during that time. So it'll ease you in when you're actually getting into the task. So be specific when you're making that list. Then schedule in time for flexibility. Now, this is something that people usually, they don't do, right? Some people, they schedule in only the work things that they have to do, and then they just completely forget to include other things. And at the same time, if a task takes longer than they expect, then they get a bit stressed out, because then they feel like they don't have other time, they don't have more time to finish the other tasks. So again, what I would like to remind you is that the routine that you create is for you. So it's okay that it takes longer, and it's okay to be flexible in terms of your routine, right? So you don't have to feel bad that one task has taken longer than the other. Just know that it's flexible and it's your routine. So be flexible with your routine, and it's okay, right? And then the next thing is that you test it out, right? You can create a perfect plan from 6:30 in the morning till 10 in the night. But if that, you can test it out, and if it doesn't work out, you don't have to feel bad about it. You just have to know that, okay, this routine does not work for me. So in a way, you just tested something out and you realize that it doesn't work for you. So the next day, you know what to change, right? If you just allocated 30 minutes for lunch and you took 1 hour, then the next day you just include 30 minutes more for that, right? And if particular meetings, which are not in your control, sometimes can go over time, but then just allocate that time into your routine, so you know that you have some leeway in your routine itself, right? Then how do I stick to this routine? Now, this is a question that most of the people have, because sometimes what happens is that you create a strict routine, and the moment that you don't stick to a particular task or goal, you get more stressed and you get more anxious, because you haven't been able to stick to this routine. So what you need to know is that it's okay that you don't stick to this routine, right? But here are a few things that you can do to make sure that you create a routine that you can stick to. right? So be realistic with what you do. Now, if you were going to create a routine tomorrow, for example, if you have a task that you had to do over the last month, if you try to incorporate it into tomorrow, that won't be realistic, right? You won't achieve it. So be realistic, right? It's okay to have goals and want to achieve those, but also just being realistic and understanding this is, I mean, in a day you only have 24 hours, and if you're going to only have around 10 to 12 hours of work time, then you need to be realistic in allocating that time. And remember that you need to incorporate time to take care of yourself, to take a nap if needed, lunchtime breaks, and all of that as well. So it's not only meetings. Include time to relax and enjoy. So make sure you do that, especially when you're working from home. One of the complaints that I've heard is that you work more than when you were working at the office, right? So it's easy to just get carried away with your Zoom meetings, and it can start at 9 in the morning and go till sometimes 10 in the night, right? So make sure in your routine that you create some time that's just for you, right? Where you don't schedule in any meetings, and it's just some time for you. And also, again, I would recommend having less screen time even during that break, because then that would be much better, right? Track progress. Make sure that you track your progress in terms of if you've been able to achieve the goals that you have made the previous day, right? That's the easiest way to make sure that you create a routine that works for you. Because if you don't really check back and see if this routine worked for you, and if it doesn't, it's not going to be sustainable, and you might just burn out, and then you might get more stressed about a routine that didn't work for you, right? So just make sure that you track your progress while at it. Then change it when you feel like it. This is your routine, right? It's not anyone else's, you're in control. So feel free to just change it whenever you feel like it, right? Then I'm stressed about sticking to this new routine. Again, what I want to tell you is, even if you can't, even if it's a simple routine, and even if it's a routine that's extremely specific, what I wanted to tell you is that this is your routine. And it's okay that you don't stick to all your goals or tasks that you create. What you need to know, and what I would like you to remind you, is that it's okay to be compassionate towards yourself, right? And thinking to yourself that it's okay that I haven't achieved everything that I haven't. Now, that won't be best if you continue that for a long time, because you'll end up with a lot of tasks that you haven't achieved. But having that middle ground where you know that it's okay that I wasn't able to complete all my tasks today, but I have a new day tomorrow and I'll be able to do it then, right? So there's no use stressing out about activities that you weren't able to achieve. Then finally, I would like to just let you know that you are your own boss, right? Especially when it comes to your routine, it's up to you. You create your routine according to however you want, and it's up to you to decide and create it the way you want. Right. And with that, I would like to invite Tivia for the final session. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Divya back again to continue the last session. So we'll now look at handling uncertainty in difficult times. I spoke a little bit about stress before, that's saying that stress is natural. You might wonder, why is stress something that's bad, that is natural? Well, if you think of times like facing an exam, going for an interview, asking out a person that you like, preparing to meet someone new, or preparing to travel somewhere. We do experience stress then, but it results in doing something proactively so that we can be better. Whereas there have been times where you may fall ill, things that you don't foresee, come across, and you feel really stressed and you feel like, oh my God, I don't have control. What do I do? How am I going to manage this situation? So now we're going to briefly look at this uncertain event that turns out and really puts everything off and really makes us not being able to function. I'm also going to refer a little bit to what Chalana and Dr. Manuja discussed a while ago on how those things do help us when we face a difficult time. Okay, so again, check your chat. This is a question. We would just like to know what you really feel or how you have been feeling during this pandemic, during this COVID-19 outbreak, ever since it started happening, and now in the current Sri Lankan context. What do you feel? Do you feel like it's okay, or do you feel like it's not okay? We'll just we'll give ourselves a few minutes so we can get your response here. Okay, interesting answers. I really enjoy the responses, just to let you know. Great, thank you so much. I think along with me, our whole team enjoyed seeing the responses. So what we kind of notice here is that it's not just one person feeling stressed or anxious or hopeless. It's quite a lot of people who feel stressed when you see in the word cloud. And there are also quite a number of people who feel manageable or hopeful. So we do have different reactions to this whole scenario that's playing out, and we're being stuck in it. So when it comes to a situation like this, and stranger times perhaps, what generally happens to us as humans is that we get caught into this spiral of thoughts, thinking about the worst case scenario, the what ifs. What if this extends? What if I can't go to uni? What if I lose contact with the people that I love? What if I fall ill? What if this never gets better? And with all the rumors that we hear, we really go into that rabbit hole of wondering the worst case scenario, because it's only natural for our brain to throw it so that we become alert and we try to prepare to defend it, or we become proactive to manage it differently. However, what is important, the bright side of it is like the light at the end of the tunnel, is that one thing that we can nurture and improve in times of this is our mindset. how we really look at things. How are we perceiving it? The mindset to especially face this unprecedented time is to look at what we have control over. Like Dr. Manjo and Chalana said, keeping up a routine, paying really good attention to what we eat, our physical well-being, our mental well-being, and our social interactions, like I spoke before, really helps us to nurture that positive attitude or something manageable in times like this where we kind of don't have control over a lot of things that's happening around us. So if I am to give you a tip, or if we are to use something, maybe in the future, we don't know what the future holds. This is again my mind saying, what if? And going into that spiral of the worst case scenario. If something happens in the future, just like the pandemic, this is a tool that we can all use. This is called the circles of control. So what we try to do here is we put our life in these 3 circles. Things that we have most control of, things that we have some control, and things that we absolutely have no control of. So if we really look at the things that we have most control of is about ourselves. What do we do? How are we protecting ourselves? Basic hand sanitization, wearing the mask, the number of hours of sleep that I get, like Chalana and Dr. Manjo said, again, what I eat, my routine. How can I manage my routine? What can I have on my daily routine? What kind of activity can I do to keep my physical body active? And like I before said, what can I do to keep my social connections stronger? Even though the events that happens outside doesn't really have a control that I don't have a control over. So the most controlled things really gives ourselves a mindset of us doing something that really has an impact on our daily life. And then we look at things that we have some control over. Like, for example, unforeseen work meetings, extended Zoom calls. Even though I eat healthy, I catch a flu, I fall ill. I want to talk to my friends most of the time, but I have so many other things to take care of and life gets in the way. So I don't talk so often. My partner being available, even though I want him or her to talk to me all the time or at least once a week, but he or she may also have other things in life. So I don't really have so much control over that. I control the number of hours that I sleep, but I can't seem to control how well I sleep. The well-being or how my sleep is disturbed. Me having nightmares, or because there's so much of work to do, I kind of extend my work hours and I don't get a rested, peaceful sleep. So these things we don't really have complete control over it, but we have some control over it, something that's manageable. And then comes the outer circle where we absolutely have no control. COVID-19, the infection, financial obligations, paying rent, paying phone bills, paying all this, buying groceries, spending on grocery, and extended Zoom calls, cutting on the data package. Social distancing guidelines. A lot of countries have different guidelines. Sri Lanka has different guidelines. People following these guidelines. I may be a person who really wants to strictly follow it, and I may have a neighbor or a friend who doesn't really follow it. And politics, the status of our country, decisions made by our politicians and our national leaders, decisions made by my family in terms of the pandemic and how we take care of ourselves. So when we really look at this circle, and the reason why I emphasize on all of us taking these circles of control and practicing it is, when we put things down into perspective, it gives us a sense of control of having, okay, you know what, certain things I don't have control of, so I may let go of it, or I'll just be aware of it. But on the things that I really have control over, I can focus on it. So what we tell our mind is that, you know what, everything's not too bad. there is some sort of safety and secure here. So we focus on that. And then we can also have some control over these other things about work schedule, partner's availability, my own health, talking to friends. It's something that we can work on, something that can be managed by improving our social connections. We can tell the person, look, I am not a person who can work for this many hours. Can you please consider cutting the time down? Or for this week, I can't do these tasks. So in that case, we give some sort of control to these events in our life. By doing this, it really makes a change, and especially this has impacted or influenced people who have felt like everything's out of control and who have felt overwhelmed, especially during this period of the coronavirus outbreak. So to conclude the entire mental well-being discussion, what I really want to emphasize is that take this tool. Maybe you're not able to identify all of these things, but just noting down some of the stuff that you have control over gives you that sense of satisfaction and sense of power over your life, which tells your brain it's okay. It's all not too bad. There are certain things that you can work on, and you focus on those things to take care of your life and move forward while you maintain your social connections, you engage in physical activities, you maintain your screen time, and you pay mindfulness to your eating. So those are the things that you do have control over. If you want, you can take a few moments, screenshot this circles of control, note it down so that you can take it out of this context and apply it to any time of your life. Well, with that, I am going to conclude the session, and I'll hand over it to Anjali De Silva from the WHO to continue it.
Thanks, Divya. Now we'll go to the question and answer session in a minute. You can ask your questions in the chat box. While waiting for your questions, the past year has been a very challenging year for all of us in many ways. And this masterclass was organized for the matter of showing you how to cope better with the new normal. And I hope you are able to grasp the key points on mindful eating, staying active, managing screen time, and also managing social interactions and routine and handling stressful times. With that, let's go to question number 1. This is for Dr. Manuja Pereira. How should your diet change depending on activity level? This is regarding mindful eating. How should your diet change depending on activity level?
So it's the same basic principle. Consider yourself as a cash till. If you're putting money into it and not taking it out, it's going to be accumulated. So if you are more active, if you are generally an active person, you play every evening with your friends, your family, you spend about 2 to 3 hours playing basketball, football, very active person, you can take in more calories than a less active person. If you really want to calculate the amounts of calories and stuff, there's lots of online apps that you can use to do it. However, you don't have to go to that extent. I mean, if you can just based on that principle and think that if you are active, you're going to spend more calories, so you can eat a bit more than a less active person.
The next question is for Ms. Divya. This is regarding managing social interactions. So what activities can we do online together to maintain social interactions? So like rather than doing individual activities, what can you do together but physically distant?
Yeah, I think that actually we can take a cue from WHO. For example, the video that we saw, you can have a virtual dance meeting. You can perhaps have a stretching group call. Any physical activity, you can do that on a video call, or even if you're a good cook or if you like food, we take Dr. Manuja's advice and make a healthy meal and have a call. So anything that we did in person, it can all be done on a group remotely.
Okay. The next question is for Mr. Chalana. This is regarding managing screen time. So regarding that, one person wants to know how long should you avoid using screens before sleep time?
Yes, so ideally what they say is that you have to avoid screens for 2 hours before you sleep if you want good sleep. But that might not be realistic at this point. But ideally, I would say try and keep it at least 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour. Just keep your phone aside and try to switch your TVs off before you fall asleep so that you don't see any screens before you fall. And what helps is also, just this is an additional point in terms of improving your sleep, is to kind of have a routine. Right? So you have a particular routine that you do every day before you sleep. So that way your body also and your mind kind of gets adjusted to a particular routine in terms of how you fall. So your body also knows that your body needs the rest, and this is you preparing for it, which will help in having a better sleep. So yeah.
This next question is for Dr. Manuja. Is there a correlation between stress levels and food habits? Can you please explain a bit on that?
It's like this. So it will depend on, as they said, what you do to cope with your stress. Some of you may be in the habit of eating, and it's not advisable because the stress hormones may make you more hungry. I mean, some actually feel, when they feel stressed, they can eat more. Some they can't eat at all. So it would depend. It's not actually about the hormones. It's also about your learned behavior. So you need to be mindful about what you do when you are stressed. You need to know yourself, and you need to come up with healthier coping strategies than just diverting to a tub of ice cream or a slab of chocolate, I suppose. Yeah.
The next question is from Ms. Divya. This is about handling uncertainty in difficult times. Somebody wants to know, where can we seek professional help in case you need help in difficult times? So in the Sri Lankan context, probably.
Well, there are professional helps available online, and also there are hotlines that are available. For example, Shanti Margam has a hotline, and the National Mental Health Unit has a hotline for support. And there are certain platforms, if you go online, the CCC line, and I think recently there's another platform called Samana, which has a list of organizations that you can find who provide mental health support in a professional way.
So the next question is for Mr. Chalana. This is about managing screen time again. And how do you know you have any features of screen dependence here? What are the features of screen dependence?
Screen dependency. Well, symptoms of screen dependency. Well, one of the telltale signs of screen dependency is like, imagine you wake up in the morning and you can't do any other activity, and the first thing that you have to do, and that's not something that you feel like, oh, I need to check an email, but it's like, oh, I can't get out of the room or my bed without checking if someone has messaged me or texted me, or if someone has liked my picture. Now, if you feel that way, then that would mean that there is a dependency, because your your future activities of, oh, okay, I can go and start my day, but it's dependent on you checking your phone or your notification. Then that would be a telltale sign of you being dependent on screen time, right? So then that would be something you need to keep a lookout for.
So since all the questions were answered by our resource persons, we are reaching to the end of our class, and I would like to give the thanks to our resource person, Dr. Manisha Pereira, Mr. Chalana Surya, and Ms. Divya Kanaya, and also Dr. Olivia Neveras from WHO, and our UNDP team, and also our communications team at WHO, Sahani, Kavindu, Basi, and Shakti, sorry, and also Shakti, for their support, which made this event enabled. And also thank you those who joined online for your participation. And there's an exit survey link that is posted in the chat box at the moment. Please take your time, a few minutes, to fill up the exit survey as well. And keep engaged with WHO through our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Viber. Good day to all, and stay safe.